Anyone in close proximity has the same dream.
What is it?
A secret that can no longer be kept. It started a month ago.
What started?
A change in the earth and the sky. His power.
There's a weird locking mechanism. Looks like it can only be opened from the inside.
A life form is growing out of prebiotic fluid. It's not winding down into disorder. It's self-organizing. It's becoming something.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
How you doing?
This week, we'll be doing the horror with a splash of science fiction classic.
Or a splash of horror, but maybe I missed it all entirely.
Prince of Darkness by John Carpenter, starring Donald Pleasance and others.
The dude from Big Trouble in Little China.
Couple dudes from Big Trouble in Little China.
Couple of dudes, yeah.
There's a guy from Simon and Simon.
Yes, I couldn't remember. He was like he's on that show with the two names, and once again, why blonde men should not have mustaches.
We're gonna get into it. I have a lot of notes about the mustache. It's very upsetting.
Oh my God, he's very upsetting.
It's an all-star cast, is what we're trying to say. There you have it.
This is not a PC. This is a Weinstein production, by sure. By hook or by crook.
By hook or by crook. Aaron, give us your 30-second synopsis of Prince of Darkness.
Literally, this is so forgettable. I almost gave you the play-by-play on Saturn 3. Because I'm like, and then Harvey Weinstein. I mean, not Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Keitel.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. I completely just pushed this entire movie out of my brain. So, Prince of Darkness is the Catholic Church is hiding a jug of Jell-O that contains the sauce of the Antichrist. Jesus is an alien. This is all extraterrestrial Krampus. The juice jumps out of its pot, like slither in your mouth. It also controls Alice Cooper and hobos. And, you know.
Mention that Alice Cooper's in this movie as well. Sweet Jesus.
And you told me that, and I totally didn't notice him. And then at the end of the movie, it said Alice Cooper. I'm like, oh, yeah, Alice Cooper. Well, he wasn't playing golf, and he wasn't wearing his weird makeup. So he kind of looked like a regular dude.
Sweet Jesus.
It's like the dude from Judas Priest. If you didn't see him in bondage leather, would you recognize him at the grocery store?
I think I'd definitely recognize him if he was in bondage leather in the grocery store. Had you ever heard of this movie?
No.
Never even heard of it?
I don't think so. I mean, there's got to be another movie called Prince of Darkness, because I kept thinking there was going to be vampires.
There is a Hammer horror film called Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Unrelated.
So this was going to be like Ted, son of Satan, Prince of Darkness.
That's correct, as you know. Now, I think I saw this not in the theater. I was far too young. But I think I saw it only a few years after it came out. And I remember thinking, boy, this is a piece of shit. I don't ever need to watch this again. And
John Carpenter, what were you thinking?
What exactly? This is late model John Carpenter, but it's so bizarre. It is right after Big Trouble in Little China and right before They Live. It's like, what is happening?
Whoa. Big Trouble in Little China is John Carpenter?
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Absolutely. John Carpenter is a man of many parts. He's not.
I'm telling you.
It's not a horror. I mean, you got your Assaults on Precinct 13.
Didn't see.
You got your Dark Stars mixed in there.
No. Oh, okay. I was going to give him a break, but now you're throwing in all his wackadoos at me.
You got Escape from New York. I mean, he kind of does a lot of Starman. Hey.
Oh, Jesus. I saw Starman on the plane to somewhere. And let me tell you, it could stay on the plane.
It could stay on the snakes on the plane.
Snakes on the plane.
No, God, this movie. Again, Saw it once because I'm a John Carpenter fan traditionally. Halloween, obviously, right?
True, true.
But I just remember going like, "Whoa, this makes no sense at all, and it's not particularly scary." Deuces.
I have many questions and many confusions. Where does this take place?
I believe in the greater Los Angeles area. I believe.
In a church built in the 1500s. Isn't that what they said? Wasn't that
missions
church?
and things, right? I guess not. They wouldn't have been in the 1500s. Would there?
Yeah. That's what they said, though.
Yeah. We have questions and very few answers.
Well, it reminded me of The Conjuring 3, where suddenly there's altars and stuff, and I don't know, Renaissance architecture in somebody's basement of hell.
One kind of idea came to me while I was watching this that had never occurred to me before. This movie is kind of vaguely reminiscent of The Beyond, where it's that kind of not as gory, obviously, but just kind of like makes no sense. Weird doorways to who the hell knows where. Creatures popping up and disappearing. Who knows? The end.
I almost called the director Fauci.
Lucio Fulci.
Lucio! One of the lesser Fauci brothers.
You know him, don't you?
No. One of them cures corona, the other one does not. He gives you something else.
He definitely gives you something else. But of course, The Beyond is much more fun than this movie was.
I will give you that. I will give you that. Even the gore didn't make sense. Was she pregnant, but then she reabsorbed and she just got leprosy now?
Oh God! Okay.
I thought she was giving birth to Satan. What the hell is that?
Okay, we got to jump right in because this is
anyway. Built in the 1500s. Yes. I was like, well, maybe they're secretly in Europe. Maybe I was checking Facebook and they're in Europe, yet every sign is in English and it does look like California. So I don't know. The Catholic Church sent people over with Columbus and they set up this mission. What, on the Miracle Mile or wherever that is?
It's, oh God, help me. I mean, we have to, the mythology of this, there's a lot of people like telling us and not a lot of showing. So it's like a lot of forgettable bizarro-ness. Basically, oh God. So the jug.
Let's just start at the beginning. Please. You open on we have college students that look like they're in their mid-40s.
It's community college, because it is what we were talking about. They all seem far too old to be attending university.
They're too old to even be grad students. So are they all what we used to call re-entry students? That's when you had the people who got divorced and now they had to get a job, so they went back to college. So we're 20 and they're 50.
Yes, it's community college. That's how it works. You get people with a lot of time on their hands with people who couldn't get into four-year university right out of high school. So it's a mixed bag.
What if it was redone with the cast of Community instead of these nutheads? Now we're talking about something.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Donald Pleasance is in this movie playing just the priest. I'm not sure his character even has a name. And they
paid him in sacramental wine.
Why not? Liturgical wine. So some priest arrives on his doorstep, right? And it's like dies, but has like a little treasure chest that has a giant key in it. Right?
Right. Because that's how you travel, with a giant chest with a key. And the key gives him all knowledge of everything, except he doesn't have enough knowledge. So they got to get all the people from ancient language class over at the community college to come dissect. They're the Rosetta Stone is what they are.
Right. Well, okay. Sweet Jesus. So
theologians, scholars, right. They're reading ancient Aramaic.
Right. Well,
speaking fluently.
Yes, at the local community college. Okay, the most of the cast is taking a course on quantum physics. which they're kind of sketchy on because clearly whoever wrote the script didn't know much about quantum physics. So luckily,
but they know that what the Catholic Church needs is some people taking quantum physics, because I'm sure all 2-year colleges have extensive courses in that.
exactly. And we're assuming it's a community college. But I mean,
No, it smelled like a community college. Those people were way too old.
Yes, this is what it is. So we're just calling them random people. Let me see if I can find some names for us, because this is just nonsense.
That just bogs it down. It makes no difference. There's the bald guy. There's the girl. There's the priest. Just vaguely describe him. That's good enough for me.
So the priest calls
There's
on
the sad black man. I mean, I just vague descriptions. Their names don't matter.
He was the sad black man with and his voice is so deep. And like oh God, I can't even. We're all over the. I am literally.
We're out of control. Out of control.
Oh, we got to get this train back on the tracks.
We're angry at this movie for wasting our time.
We are. So, okay, the priest tracks down the quantum physics professor and says, "Hey, can you help me out? Because we've discovered this ancient sect called like the Cult of Sleep or whatever. Old priests basically protect this giant jug of shimmering green slime, basically."
Gelatinous.
God help me. So the professor recruits his grad students, who the average age is 45 at least. And then they have to they recruit other professors of various. Oh God, I'm losing my mind.
School is canceled. They've shut the college down.
Yes.
And everyone's helping the priest, because that's what happened.
Everyone's helping the priest. So one of the people, like you said, is a master of all ancient dead languages, evidently. She translates this book that's next to the giant glowing jug, which is, they said it's written in Latin, ancient Greek, Aramaic, Coptic. I don't even know what Coptic means. But that's another language.
I know there are Coptic Christians, because we have a Coptic Christian church here.
So that's all part of it.
They don't get to eat meat on any Friday.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. If you abandon Vatican II, then it's all fish on Fridays. So there you go. Good time.
Yeah.
That's also in this movie, by the way.
They're old school.
Yes.
I used to work with a guy who's Coptic Christian. I used to argue with him. I'm like, I'm going to eat it. It's not Lent. I'm going to eat meat.
You must be fun at parties.
I fun at lunch, and I think he was picking up the bill too.
Oh, sweet
Whoop,
Jesus!
whoop.
Oh, God help me. So she's the one who translates the text that tells us Jesus was an alien who was crucified for being an alien or whatever. I don't know. And there's a jug of extraterrestrial goo, which evil is actually not inside of humanity. It's actually a physical slime. That's also the
question.
Reveal. Please.
Question.
No answers.
So the people that do bad stuff, they're not evil. They're just doing bad stuff. Or are they lining up with a little Dixie cup and take a little sip of the Dark Lord?
They take a couple little swigs, like it's a Midori sour, and it turns them evil. So that's, oh, God help us all. So about this time, I guess the glowing jug starts to emanate something, which causes all the schizophrenic hobos and boxcar willies to circle around the church and just stand there. And basically, it's like you can't leave the church or you'll be killed by the homeless.
Now, wasn't there was like a comet or something that's triggering all this? Because why is the JELLO so agitated all of a sudden?
That's a good question. Was there a comet? I don't know. I can't answer that.
I don't know. It was losing me so fast. I was immediately, I hate Facebook. So I was immediately on Facebook going, I'm blocking you. I'm blocking you.
Part of the problem with this movie is we don't really care about any of the characters at all.
They can all go to hell.
Because they aren't really fleshed out. We meet Brian, who's ostensibly the lead, I guess. I mean, he's the his name is Jameson.
He's the guy from Heart to Heart or something.
Jameson Parker.
Jameson Parker.
Jameson
That's
Parker
right.
was one of the stars of the hip 80s private eye shows Simon and Simon. See, they're brothers. Okay. One brother went to Harvard.
Wasn't Gerald McRaney with the other brother?
Gerald McRaney was the other brother who was the Marine. So you got the buttoned up Harvard. His name was AJ Simon. And then his brother, Rick Simon, who was the Marine. So it's kind of like, Felix and Oscar, but they're brothers and they solve crimes. And it's in San Diego. So good times.
That's true. And then they moved him from San Diego because they didn't feel San Diego was hip enough. And there was a big backlash from San Diego.
Is that true? Did they move it?
Stay classy, San Diego. Yep.
Then I'm out. I'm out on Simon and Simon. That's all I had to hear.
I'm out. It was the Chargers, and then it was Simon and Simon.
I think it's the other way around, but okay.
Yeah, maybe so.
James.
He was like a suspicious rapist monster from Get. The minute you see him, he's like sneaking around corners. He's spying on the lady.
Absolutely.
And then he's an asshole. He's so insulting and rude. And then all of a sudden, she's into it.
It was weird because he was a handsome dude on Simon and Simon. Somehow they figured out a way to make him look freaky. They gave him a haircut, gave him a crazy porn stash. Let's call it what it is. He's basically
blonde porn stash.
Absolutely.
Men, blonde hair. Leave it to the dark-haired men. Leave it to the dark-haired men.
Don't do it. Well, you could tell he moonlights in gay porn.
What if he was a ginger? I've never seen. Have we seen Ginger? Oh, well, Game of Thrones, but that's okay.
It's entirely possible. Anyway, he's a creepy dude, and he's got eyes for one of the classmates, Catherine. And there are multiple scenes where she's leaving a building with some other dude, and he's like lurking behind a tree, staring at her. There's no explanation. I thought we were going to find out that this is a plant. He's like the Renfield for Jello Satan. Basically, Jello Satan. Yeah. That's the problem with this movie is it's like people act in peculiar ways with no explanation.
No explanation. It's not even like it's a red herring. Well, I thought it might be a red herring, but really, everyone's just going to be weird.
Everyone's going to be weird. So, yes, eventually he starts hooking up with her, Catherine, because he approaches her just kind of cold. Hey, they're in a class of 6 students. They must have said something to each other prior to this stalkerish behavior. No? Not so much? Okay.
I thought he was just adding the class or something, but either way, he's literally rude and insulting, and then she's like down.
She's down. It's called negging. It's when you're rude and asshole-ish that the lady's going, ooh. I wasn't giving you a second look with that mustache, but now I'm all on board. Very sad.
Oh yeah, and then even once they caught Boots, the behavior is still bizarre. She's the weirdo, and it's all like, oh my god, I'm blanking out. She's like, don't say anything. Let it like just lie to me. Don't make any promises. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna start.
He says, I want to say something to you. I want to say something. She's like, don't. He's like, why? I mean, he could have been saying, where's the bathroom? For all the hell we know. I mean,
she's like, you ruin everything with your mouth and your words.
Pretty much. I mean, it's sweet Jesus. So
it's the mustache. Every time you speak to me, I see the mustache.
It is upsetting, and half the time it's like uneven. It's like one side it's all long and hanging down, and the other side's all short. It's like, who the hell? Don't they have?
It's slipping. It's slipping. The gum arabic is not holding tight.
Oh God, it's a horror show. So there is Susan, who is the radiologist, and the only reason I know this is they're constantly looking for Susan. They're like, "Who's Susan?" You know, the girl in the glasses, the radiologist. They say that 4 times because she disappears at like the beginning of the movie after getting sprayed with the slime.
And why do we need a radiologist? They're going to X-ray the Jello. It's transparent. I don't think you need an X-ray.
I think what they were trying to figure out a way to open up the jug, because I guess it was kind of rusted closed. So they were going to use
maybe Alien Jesus wanted it rusted closed. So why are we opening the jug of devilness? That's just weird.
They know it's the jug of devilnish because the ancient scriptures say it so. Why
don't we dig a hole and fill it with concrete?
Why don't we? Sweet Jesus. When we first meet the priest and he's talking about the secret sect of the sleep, he says something like,
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Did they call Dr. Sleep for advice?
If only. They should have called Stephen King for advice on how to write a script, for God's sake. Evidently, only the guardian priest is aware of this. There was just the one priest whose sole job was to keep an eye on the jug of goo, essentially. But then Donald Pleasence.
And then what do they do if it starts bubbling over? You just sit and stare at it, locked in a box?
He says it was top secret. Even the Pope didn't know anything about this. Only piece, it's one guardian priest would know and then would pass it on to the next guardian priest throughout eternity, I guess. However,
it's like that Santa Claus movie. Like when Santa dies, he puts the touch on you and now you're Santa, the Tim Allen movie.
Since you've brought it up, we have to talk about this. There is this movie for children ostensibly called The Santa Claus, where in the first 15 minutes of the movie, Santa falls off the roof to his death. Let me repeat that. A children's movie where Santa falls off the roof to his death.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell wrote this? This is a children. Okay, moving on. We could just put Santa in a coma. Don't have him die on the very first scene of the movie. Oh, sweet Jesus. Who writes this stuff?
He could have been in a prolonged vegetative state. Would that have made it happier?
It would have made me happier, yes. and children everywhere. Sweet Jesus.
And then they put him on the Polar Express that takes him and all the damned children to
It's
hell.
absolutely the damned children. The most terrifying movie you will ever see is the Polar Express. Just the lifeless eyes of Tom Hanks staring at you.
Save that for we're on the that podcast coming up where we're discussing Tom Hanks. I've never seen Polar Express because it's creepy looking.
Me neither. For the exact same reason. So there you go.
Boom.
Take it from us. Real terror is the Polar Express. No, thank you. That's a bridge too far.
Honestly, I think there's only maybe 2 creepy scenes in this whole movie and just a little bit creepy. That's about it.
Oh, God.
Continue on with your rant and rave.
Okay, so the guardian priest on his deathbed, I guess, picks the next priest and fills him in on all the information.
Whoever finds his bloated corpse, tag, you're it.
However, Donald Pleasence says that they had power and authority, this secret sect. How? If it's just one GD priest and no one knows about it. What power and authority do they have?
Over what? Authority over what?
The power of Christ compels
in this
you. Oh, God help me. So Susan, the radiologist, goes in by herself to look at the glub, the crazy, I don't even know what it is. What is it? It's a giant cylinder filled with glowing goo, essentially.
You know what it is? It's the tank from whatever that movie was that we watched. Altered States. That's what it is, except now they pulled out what's-his-face and filled it with, as I said, Jello.
They pulled out William Hurt and replaced him. Oh, God. So she's like, how are we going to get into this thing? It's impossible. It's been rusted shut. Yet it is clearly leaking for all the world to see. Drip, 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 drip. Big old pool floating on the ceiling.
Open your mouth like a baby bird and it'll plop right in there.
She gets sprayed in the face. And again, you don't have to open your mouth when you get sprayed with the slime. You could literally turn away, God forbid. So she takes it full in the mouth and is now possessed, I guess, right?
So why, if the thing is like sentient, why doesn't it just spray its shit all over everybody?
These are excellent questions. And frankly, multiple people get hit with the slime. In fact, after you get hit with the slime, you just climb on people and spit the slime on them in their mouths.
Oh, it's like the stuff. It's the stuff.
Just can't get enough of the stuff. And so people act differently. Some just walk around like zombies. Other people are like the poor technician. I don't even know what his job was. The poor black man who wanders around crying.
He keeps looking at himself in the mirror, and I don't know if he cut his throat or something, but he just looks in the mirror, cries all the time.
He took a piece of wood and literally stabbed himself in the throat with it. And then they just kind of wrapped him in a bandage. And he was fine?
Poor K.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's hard to know what happens because at one point, 3 people try to leave. They're like, they go out and have a long discussion. You know what? This is crazy. It's Friday night. I'm out of here. His 2 buddies are like, well, we're staying. He's like, okay. He stays outside and then suddenly he's covered with stink bugs.
Oh, yeah. Stink bug, man. Now, the stink bug thing is kind of good and creepy. They use that over and over again. There was a couple of stink bug occurrences.
They laid into the stink bug occurrences very heavily. Again, like Lucio Fulci. That's how you do. And then later they look out the window and there's the dude who's been attacked by the stink bugs, and he's speaking to them, but like his hand falls off and his head rolls off.
And his voice is crazy.
So there's a lot of this kind of bizarro imagery where you're just like, what is happening? People become like, get their necks broken and then become possessed and then kind of wander around and they stare at you. Look, you know, I love a good zombie movie. I love them. I don't know what this was. I mean,
This was not a zombie. It was, you know, where you had like on the Little Rascals where somebody would stand on top of Alfalfa's shoulders. They pretend they were an adult. Except this case, Stymie and Alfalfa are stink bugs.
That's exactly right. Sweet Jesus.
Because eventually the whole body collapses with a million stink bugs swirling off in other directions. And do you think it's stink bugs because they're cheaper than roaches or what?
I guess it's an artistic choice.
It is California. We do have
We have plenty of roaches.
We have roaches and stink bugs. So I don't know.
In Orange County, we have a lot of silverfish too. I don't know if that's apropos, but I thought I'd throw that in there.
We have a lot of pincher bugs, so that could be a thing that just comes flowing out of the zombies of Bakersfield.
Why not? Why not? So there are multiple scenes. I gotta look at my notes. There are multiple scenes where it's like, oh my God, there's a Dave. You know, he's staggering down the hall, and then they run and they hide. Walter, who's the dude from Big Trouble in Little China, locks himself in the closet while Susan and the translator woman, who's also been possessed, just stand out the door and just stare at him. Okay.
I want to skip back a little bit. There was one creepy scene. There was a crucified pigeon at one point. I'm not sure if Alice Cooper did that, but that was a little bit creepy.
Murray from Riptide, another 80s show where they are... These are 3 guys. They're also detectives, but they have a houseboat that they live on, and then they solve crimes. Murray was the tech guy on that show. He's also the tech guy on this show. He's like, I'm not staying all weekend. I'm bouncing early. So he leaves, and he finds the crucified pigeon, and he's like, whoa, what's this all about? He sees Alice Cooper.
He's like, is it folk art?
Yes. He sees Alice Cooper there, who's the leader of the homeless, I guess. And he's like, ooh, that's weird. Tries to go back, and now there's like 30 homeless people coming from the other direction. So he's like, oh, damn, what do I do? I guess I'll just stand here as Alice Cooper slowly makes his way towards me and stabs me with his bicycle.
That's a choice.
I'm like, look, I love Alice Cooper. Not physically dominating. I think we can all agree. But I guess if you're Murray from Riptide, I mean, potato, potato. What are you going to do? Just take the bicycle to the chest.
I often thought, what would I do to a zombie attack? I guess if it was one, I might outrun. But if I'm surrounded by 30, I guess you might as well just lay down.
Just assume the fetal position and stab yourself with a
Just
bicycle.
expose the neck and just lay
Exactly.
there.
Well, I guess you would wonder, is this a dangerous situation to have a homeless man approach me with his bicycle? Is that inherently dangerous? Perhaps. Who's to say?
Perhaps when homeless people approach me, it could be many reasons.
When homeless people attack, basically, is what it is.
Why isn't there like Shark Week? You could have Homeless Week.
There was a horrifying YouTube phenomenon called bum fighting.
Bum fights.
Yes. Horrible. Kind of like this movie.
Was it the same people who did like Girls Gone Wild?
I don't think so. The homeless gone wild.
Girls Gone Wild fighting bums. How about that?
I definitely tune in at least once. I mean, why not? I wrote down too many characters because there's literally at one point, I swear to God, 15 technicians, quantum physicians. Is that what they're called? Quantum physicists probably makes more sense.
With no clear direction about what they're supposed to do or anything that's going on.
They're wheeled in a lot of like machinery, things that make noises and lights flashing. There's no explanation.
Oscilloscopes and all the usual sci-fi
Exactly.
bullshit.
There's no explanation what people are actually doing here. But there's so many that when people, again, I think we're supposed to care about Donald Pleasance because we know who the hell he is. We're supposed to care about the professor, Egg Shen.
And Marianne.
Professor and Marianne.
And Marianne.
I remember, since we're going off on this tangent, originally it was just, and all the rest. How would you like to be on Gilligan's Island? There's only, 7 characters on the show? They sing a whole song about it's Gilligan, the skipper.
The skipper.
They list everybody, and at the end they're like, and all the rest. The last 2 cast members, we're not taking the time.
That's the professor and Marianne for those of you counting.
Yes. Eventually, they go like, that's kind of effed. I guess we'll throw them a bone like as credits, start to roll. The professor and Marianne.
And the professor was the only attractive male on the island, just to say. No one's messing with Gilligan and the skipper. And Thurston.
Look, let's be honest. If you were trapped on a tropical island, you make do. It's like being in prison.
You were saying that as a dude. So you have the 2 ends of the female archetypes. You have the girl next door and the movie star. Who do the women have? You have a bunch of weirdos, and even the professor is way too spectrum.
That is true. I mean, let's be honest. If you're stuck on a desert island, I'm throwing a shot at Lovey too while I'm at it. I mean, come on. Let's be honest.
Thurston. I haven't thought of that name. Thurston needs to go in my big book of interesting cat names.
Please do. Oh, sweet Jesus. So there's 2. Okay, again,
let's go back to Walter is in a closet and people are trying to dig him out from one side while Walter does nothing. But now, while the shit's getting real, then suddenly Walter himself, who's the smallest man in the world, can tear through the concrete and brick wall in about 30 seconds.
That is true. He gets separated from the rest of the gang. Oh, sweet Jesus. So he's our eyes and ears. Sally, or whatever her name is laying on a cot, and I guess the slime is just going in her mouth by the gallon and gives her a big old belly, and then slowly turns her into a rotting corpse.
Right. So you think, because first of all, I was like, that belly is too high up to be a pregnancy. This is clearly directed by a man. But then it disappears. So I thought she was giving birth to him in physical form. No, and then she, I don't know, takes a dump or something because it all disappears and her leprosy continues. Then all of a sudden she gets up, looks at herself in the mirror, cries, and then sticks her arm through a mirror where it's water, that kind of bullshit. She's trying to pull her Satan boyfriend through the looking glass. And Alice, too, I
looked
guess.
this up because you're right.
Lay it on me.
It's incomprehensible. It's like we have no idea. Because again, everybody's getting squirted with the slime. So why is this one...
And everybody's crying.
Right. Why is she... Okay, basically, the slime goes into her mouth, fills her up, and she becomes the Prince of Darkness. She is now the embodiment of the Antichrist, I guess. Okay?
So who's she pulling through the looking glass? Daddy?
The anti-God is the one she's supposed to be pulling through. And the reason she looks at the mirror, it's very confusing. You think she's looking at the mirror going, oh my God, I look like shit. That's not what she's doing. She tries to reach through the mirror, the little compact or whatever, and she realizes it's not big enough. So that's why she's sad. I'm upset that's not a big enough portal.
What's the other dude crying? Because he can't get Satan in there?
So then, and this is the whole thing. This has never been established. Anything about Satan will use mirrors to try to enter our dimension. There's no discussion about that at all. That's why this is bizarre and confusing. And there's no explanation as to that's what's occurring, that she's become the Prince of Darkness. She's the son of Satan or whatever. That's why she's like, Father. That's like the only word she says. Father, with her big old eyes staring, looking around. Father.
Oh my God.
So she finds a big old gigantic floor to ceiling mirror that now she's able to reach through and pull out Satan's claw and start pulling him into the world, essentially. Okay?
Right.
So at this point, Catherine, the chick from the beginning of the movie that's being stalked by Simon and Simon using his detective skills, evidently.
Right.
She sees what's going down and literally tackles Satan, the Antichrist, I don't know, tackles her, because it's a woman's body, through the mirror, sending them all into the mirror dimension. I don't know, whatever it is. Donald Pleasance, hero that he is, picks up a fire axe and smashes the mirror, stranding Catherine on the other side. And you see like a haunting scene of Catherine on the other side reaching towards the opening. Sorry, deuces.
That's what you get. Don't be a hero. That's the life lesson.
Don't do it. Just don't do it.
You missed the amusing part that while the first time she reached in, they chopped off her arm and a new one just dropped out.
Yes. Bloop. Yes. Donald Pleasance, axe commando, walks into the room with a fire axe, first chops her arm off, and the arm like grows back. Bloop, just pops like the Swamp Thing. And then he chops her head off, and she picks up the head and just plops it right back on. Good times.
And he's like, I'm out of here then.
He's like...
And we should mention a total ripoff of No More Arigato, Mr. Roboto is playing all at the same time. Na 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 na. All the whole time I was like, what the hell? They like tweak a little bit at the end, but it's for sure
okay,
Mr. Roboto.
What was the name of the band?
Oh, that was Styx.
Styx? Satan? Does it all fit together?
It all works together. There you go. There you go. Have some gold coins for the what was the Karen or whatever his name. Who is the rower?
Oh, Charon.
Not
Charon, right. Which
Charon.
The other famous Styx song is "Come Sail Away." See, it all fits together.
Oh, Dennis DeYoung. Right. He is the Antichrist. Clearly. Is that why they kicked him out of the band?
They did. That's exactly why. It's a sad situation. Oh, sweet Lord. And we haven't even talked about the bizarre dream subplot, where it's like every time they try to take a nap, they see like a transmission that's beamed into their brain. This is the year 1999. This is not a dream. You have to try to stop this future from occurring. Look out.
That was I want to tell you, that is the only interesting part of this movie. They could have played on that more.
Well, and that's the thing. So there's all that, you know, the grand reveal, the final moment of that transmission is in the year 1999, which would have been, I don't know, 12 years in the future or whatever it is. You see Catherine stepping out of the church.
So they're not bulldozing the church after all this? And what happened to all the jelly? It's still
No,
there?
all the jelly went into Sally's mouth and turned her into the Prince of Darkness.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I started to fall asleep about that point. Let me see if I can get some of these names here.
So then I don't understand where she came from. Another mirror in the bathroom, maybe? She crawled out?
Okay. Again, there were like 5 or 6 quantum graduate students, I guess, which under Professor Howard Barack, which was the dude who was Egg Shen. He brought on Brian, which was Jameson Parker, Catherine, which is the chick we've seen 1,000 times. She was the one from Officer and a Gentleman who jilted her boyfriend. I'm not trying to marry an Okie from Muskogee.
I'm with you, sister.
She was also the star from Dead and Buried, who's lighting photographers on fire on the beach, if you recall, and the nurse who's poking people in the eye.
Right on, sister.
You had Walter, who was also from Big Trouble in Little China. Then there was Kelly, who was another blonde woman who was kind of nice and friendly, because I think she had a bruise on her arm. That's what it was. She had a weird bruise on her. She said, damn, I got this bruise somehow. And that's
it looked like Prince's name when he was having the battle with the record
Eventually,
label.
It becomes like a brand of some sort. Like you said, it was like the artist formerly known as is what was popping up on her elbow. And I think that was it. Then there were other randos that they invited along.
So what happened to all the people who sipped of the satanic jello but did not become the son of Satan? They're just bopping around the church
dead.
Still?
When they smashed the mirror, they all just kind of thumped over. And you saw like kind of a smoke come out of their mouths.
You're right. I thought that was them being freed, but I guess
freed
not.
from life,
that was their
that's
soul.
What you mean?
Freed from. That looked like their soul departing.
Much like my soul watching this movie.
Put down the crack
Sweet
pipe.
Jesus. I think that's about it. I mean, I've written pages of this, but it's all just, oh God, help me. It's mindless. You got anything else?
Pages of this. I got like 3/4 of a page and I've already read everything. I took very little notes because I was like, oh no, what has Kevin got me into now?
Was a requested film by one of our listeners. So, Leo, this is your
someone you know.
By
the
way. This was your fault. You did this to us. Sweet Lord. No, and first of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who stuck with us through the meandering description of this movie. It is unintelligible, to say the least.
It is a meandering description because it is a meandering, nonsensical movie.
It is absolutely nonsensical.
Although I'm not sure this is that much different than most of our podcasts.
How dare you, first of all. Let me stop you right there. Okay, should we do behind the scenes?
Oh, please do. Who was John Carpenter stooping in this one?
No one, I don't think. Who's to say?
All right.
Dr. Leahy was another doctor. He like comes in, I don't know what his, I'm sure they said, oh, you're a microbiologist or something. I'm sure they said something, but it went right over my head. He walks in and introduces himself to Dr. Barack, and in the middle of the scene, Dr. Barack just walks away, which wasn't supposed to happen. So the guy's confused expression was not acting. That was just real, like, what is happening? Much like my expression through the entire movie.
But like, it's good enough. Just go with it. One take.
That's all you need, man. Alice Cooper used the bike impalement trick in his stage shows prior to this movie. And this was his own personal prop. So he brought along.
Oh, geez.
That's how he does it. This is the first independent movie he made since he did Escape from New York back in 1981. And the reason is because it was a series of flops. His big budget things, like The Thing was a flop, Big Trouble in Little China was a flop. It was one flop after another. It was. They all became
Big Trouble in Little China is a classic.
They all became like considered classics, although not this one necessarily. Wah, wah, wah. So he had to basically go back to independent where he was in control and making those decisions. The reoccurring dream that we keep seeing was shot on video and then filmed off a television screen to give it a kind of interesting kind of look, like you're watching Poltergeist, where it's the TV.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Really, that was the most interesting thing. I'm like, it's an interesting idea that they're sending you these transmission signals in your sleep. Scrap everything else and work a story about that. That's my answer. None of the Satan in a church in downtown LA. It's not even downtown. It's like some fringy, God knows where in LA church.
It's sad but true. The screenwriter for this movie is credited as Martin Quatermass, but it was actually written by John Carpenter. So there you go.
Even he didn't want to put his name.
He does that from time to time. Puts like a fake-o name as the screenwriter. He thinks it's hilarious, I think. Very sad. The parts played by Donald Pleasance, Victor Wong, and Dennis Dunn were written specifically for them by John Carpenter because he enjoyed working with them in the past. So
right on.
This is
no love for Kim Cattrall in this.
Kim Cattrall did not have a role in this one. And I guess Kurt Russell would have played the Jameson Parker role, but it's such a nothing role. It just
there are no personalities. There's no character development. You know nothing about them. You don't give a darn. It's not like when Glenn died in Walking Dead, and I vowed never to watch The Walking Dead again. That was a powerful impact. These people, throw them in a chipper shredder. I don't give a damn.
As well. This is the second film in John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. The first one was The Thing. Then it was Prince of Darkness. And the last one was another John Carpenter movie that I'm not a huge fan of, In the Mouth of Madness. This is...
Maybe I know that... No, because I was going to say I think I saw that, but I think there's a book about prison with a similar title. I think that's what I'm thinking.
This was a Sam Neill movie where he's a novelist that I think he's kind of an H.P. Lovecraft character where he goes back to the town. He finds himself in a town from one of his books kind of things. And the character, who the hell knows? It's not a good one. It's kind of uneventful and forgettable. It's clearly I've already forgotten. Very sad.
Yeah, I know nothing of this, but I am a Sam Neill fan.
We enjoy Sam Neill's other work, clearly. The genesis of this movie came from Deborah Hill, who was John Carpenter's producing partner and previously life partner before he got together with Adrienne Barbeau. She had a dream of a vague, dark figure exiting a which filled her with dread. That's all she had. And John Carpenter basically took this image and created a movie around it, essentially. And that became Prince of Darkness. Wah, wah, wah.
All right. No, that's not it.
Are you even listening? You're doing that thing where you're surfing the internet while I'm talking. How dare you?
I thought I was on to something, but clearly I was
You were just on something.
I was just thinking, I always like Adrienne Barbeau.
I do too.
Is she still with us, or is she Betty White out?
I think she's still with us. She has a Betty White connection. 2 degrees of Betty White. Do you know what her connection is?
Maud.
She was Maud's daughter, played by B. Arthur, who starred in Golden Girls with Betty White. So there you go. Good time.
Boom, 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 boom.
Donald Pleasance. Oh, let's just go right to the cast. We're giving up the ghost. The cast. Donald Pleasance played Priest, although I think his character actually mentions his name a couple times. You know him from Halloween 2, Halloween, You Only Live Twice, Mr. Bond, and of course The Great Escape. Classics all, except for Halloween 2.
Whoa. Are you saying that John Carpenter directed a James Bond?
No, I said Donald Pleasance was in those movies. Are you not even listening anymore? Much like our audience?
You're not talking directly to me, so I've lost
Clearly.
interest.
Jameson Parker was Brian Marsh. You know him from Prince of Darkness. Simon and Simon from 1981 to 1989, the whole 80s. He was in something called Jackals in 1986. He was in Jag, playing a CIA deputy, something or other. Anyway,
blah. Hope you invested well, Mr. Parker.
Victor Wong played Professor Howard Barak. You know him, of course, from Big Trouble in Little China. He was also in Tremors, of course. Prince of Darkness. Lisa Blount played Catherine Danforth. You know her from An Officer and a Gentleman, playing Lynette. Prince of Darkness, Crystal, which is not, it's a movie I'm unfamiliar with. Something called Prophet from 96 to 97. And it doesn't even mention Dead and Buried here. Very upsetting. She died suddenly in 2010 at the age of 53. Very sad.
Ooh. Unrelated to John Carpenter?
I can't comment one way or the other. Dennis Dunn played Walter. You know him from Big Trouble in Little China. Played Wang Chi. Of course, Prince of Darkness. Year of the Dragon. The Last Emperor.
I love The Last Emperor.
Anybody else? Oh, here's a bizarro cameo. Dirk Blocker played Mullins. Do you know who Dirk Blocker is?
No.
In the movie, he's the bald guy who gets his neck broken and is wandering around like with his head kind of at an angle. Dirk Blocker is the son of Dan Blocker. Do you know who Dan Blocker is?
We got a right to pick a little fight bonanza.
That's great. He was Big Hoss. Big Hoss. So he's the son of Big Hoss. But more recently, Dirk Blocker is on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Do you ever watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I don't.
Very sad.
That's so middle America. I can't
Love
even
Brooklyn
do
Nine-Nine. He was played Hitchcock from 2013 to 2021. I think that's all we need to know. We talked about the character Etchison, played by Tom Bray. He was Murray on Riptide. He was also Hodges in Deep Star 6. Another classic we should talk about.
I didn't see any of this shit. Maybe I not watch movies or TV. I didn't watch TV in the 80s. That's all I
Very
gotta
sad.
say. I have no idea.
Alice Cooper played the street schizo, as he's called, instead of just the homeless individual, the out-of-doors man. I feel like John Carpenter had a lot more sensitivity to the plight of the homeless in They Live versus Prince of Darkness, where they're just kind of nameless, faceless zombies.
Now he's a homeowner, and they're dumping out his trash can. So now he's doing the fish shake in the
Very
air.
upsetting.
Why,
Let's talk about our ratings, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Darkness. I have to send you this picture. There's a picture of Jameson Parker. I don't know what this expression is. It's a horror story. I'll send it to you.
You need. I'll make a special
I might take a
meme
picture
for
of
it
right now. It is ridiculous. It is the most ridiculous. There it is. I'll send it to you in a minute because it is a horror. It's an American Horror Story. You don't know if he's in mid-coitus or what's happening. Yeah, I'm sending it to you. Enjoy.
Enjoy
your nightmare. Prince of Darkness currently has a 58% Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, this is half porn. Yes, with his freshly shaven chest.
I am going to share that picture on all the social media. Sorry, Jameson.
As you should. Make sure you tag him.
I just might. Let's see if we can find any top critics. Vincent Canby.
Oh, you know,
go ahead.
Screw that. Where's Rex Reed? Let's go right to it.
He did not review this one, unless he's not considered a top critic. I'm sad to say. Vincent Canby. It just says rotten. None of the performances are super, though Alice Cooper, the one-time rock star, makes an arresting cameo appearance as a mean-spirited zombie who stands outside the church, intimidating anyone who looks through the window.
Freeze. A mean-spirited zombie, as opposed to all the other kind of zombies that are kind of live and let it. Chaotic neutral, maybe? I don't know.
Chaotic neutral, not chaotic evil. Let's be honest. Roger Ebert. 2 out of 4 stars. Prince of Darkness contains the ingredients for a much better movie. Wah, wah, wah.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah. I have to read this one. This other reviewer said, The Prince of Darkness stinks. It too deserves to be shut up in a canister for 7 million years. Sad but true.
Right on, brother. Right on. That's my kind of a review.
There's a whole nother issue about carbon dating. We've discussed carbon dating many times. Look, refer to our episode on Time Cop. Evidently, as we know, carbon dating can only be used to discuss the age of organic materials. Because they're trying to say the carbon dating on the rust holding the tub shut, it shows that it's 7 million years old. Okay, carbon dating doesn't work that way. Doesn't discuss rust or oxidation.
Correcto. Can you carbon date Jell-O?
You can't carbon date Jell-O. Well, here's the other thing. Even if it was an organic material, it could not be used to determine that something was 7 million years old. Okay, we don't possess that technology today, I'm sad to say. Good Lord.
And I'm not sure if Jesus was there 7 million years ago. So once again, how is Jesus connected to the Jell-O?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's a mystery. What is your rating?
It is 1 full glass of satanic Jell-O shooter. Woo!
1 full. Yes. Okay. I give it 1 porn stash. Inappropriate. This was the 80s. I get it.
Are we agreeing?
No, I agree. It's unwatchable.
We both gave it a 1 rating. Usually you always throw it a 3 or something.
It's not fun. It's not scary. No. It's just kind of meandering nonsense. Is basically what it is. It's just it's not worth the time. Now, we talked about how to watch this movie, you had 2 choices. You could rent it for $3.99 or you could buy it for $4.99. As always, I chose to buy it.
You need to get that dollar back.
I'm regretting my choice. Very upsetting. It's not worth it.
You could have bought a half a pack of gum at the Dollar Tree for that.
Just a half a pack. Yeah, you walk in there. Can I just give you 50 cents for just half the pack? Hey, this is Dollar Tree. Anything goes.
By the way, the Dollar Tree is not $1 anymore.
No, it's a $1.25 tree.
It's
very sad. So there you have it. Thank you very much. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcast, TWDie. Aaron, we're on Instagram.
Indeed we are, Mr. Kevin. We are The Podcast That Wouldn't Die.
I insist you call me Mr. Kevin from now on as I grow my porn stash. Sweet Jesus. You can also email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie at gmail. You may listen to us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. Make sure you like, share, review, and rate, won't you? Aaron, you have social media, do you not?
In fact, I do. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult on Instagram. I am also Don't Feed the Pigeon. Join us, won't you?
Next week, we'll be discussing the science fiction classic, Planet of the Apes. We're talking the original with Charlton Heston, not Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark, if you're listening, no offense. So check that out.
Dr. Sayus, Dr. Sayus. Oh, Dr.
You
Sayus.
made a monkey out of me.
I would pay one of the Simpsons classics. Stop the Planet of the Apes. I want to get off. One of the greatest Simpson episodes of all time. I'm going to be. Where can I just download that? Because I'm going to need to watch that 12 times before I watch this movie so I can just sing it all through
Maybe
our
on
review.
YouTube. Who's to say?
All right. I used to have this when the kids were little. I used to have the Simpsons soundtrack. So it had Monorail. It had all the Planet of the Apes. It had all their musicals. It was an
You gotta
amazing
do it.
CD.
If you want to watch Planet of the Apes to enjoy all of its primate goodness, you can find it currently streaming on HBO Max for free. So good time.
Right
welcome.
on. Right
Well,
on. Now, should we make some announcement that Soylent Green takes place in 2022?
Oh, I've already been making that announcements. I've been letting people know. And the fact that Soylent is an actual product you can buy is also very upsetting. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to be smart and come up with different Soylent Blue. They haven't said Soylent Green yet, but now they do have a Soylent Blue.
They're breaking us down step by step so that when they slide in the Soylent Green, we won't have any questions. Very upsetting.
Sounds like a closed life cycle there. I mean, it seems like a good thing for the environment.
Who's to say? So, thank you very much, and be well.
Good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow.